Hello ladies and gentlemen, Xentor here and welcome back to another YouTube video. Now in today's video I will be showing you guys, in my opinion, the top 5 cockpits in infinite flight. Now I think cockpits are a very important addition to aircraft within infinite flight, and I think having a live working cockpit is something that most aircraft should have in infinite flight, as I think it makes it much more realistic and it also removes the ability to have to use the HUD. So let's start off with in 5th place for the top 5 cockpits in infinite flight. Now coming in 5th place I have the TBM. So basically what I have done is I've not wanted to choose just Airbus and Boeing because the cockpits are so similar for the 5. So we're going to start with the TBM, and I think it is probably the 5th best cockpit in infinite flight. I think it got reworked in 2019, 2018, or it came to the flight simulator in that time period, I believe. And it has come with a live working cockpit. I'm not too sure if the buttons do work in it, but I think the cockpit as itself is unique, so it's definitely something different to all the other cockpits we see in infinite flight, and it is perfect. So I love doing little flights, so across the English Channel, between the Channel Islands and places like Southampton, Bournemouth, Isle of Wight. I think it's perfect for small flights like that. I think it's also a lovely aircraft to do island hopping in the Caribbean with a live cockpit, and I think it is a perfect opportunity for that. So that's why the TBM has landed in 5th place on this list. Now moving on to 4th place on the list, we have the almighty Cessna. That's right, again, another general aviation aircraft. Now I think the Cessna cockpit is probably the most unique of all the cockpits in infinite flight which are live cockpits. It's pretty much very old school with all the dials. Now I'll be honest with you, whenever I fly in the Cessna there is no way I look at them on infinite flight. I'm just straight on the HUD and I just use the buttons on the side. Now I will be honest with you, that is what I do. But I very rarely fly the aircraft. I think it is, again, it's fun if you just want to do some patterns around airports. If you're looking to get your landings up, to move up a grade within infinite flight, it's good for stuff like that. So that's definitely a positive feature of the Cessna within infinite flight. I think the aircraft itself, again, is amazing, and I think the cockpit has definitely wedged it up there as one of the better aircraft in infinite flight. The Cessna cockpit, like I said, it's got all the dials on it. I would hopefully like to see a more modernised cockpit, or one of the older cockpits. I do forget which one's modern and older of the Cessna, so we do have a variety of cockpits within the Cessna aircraft in infinite flight, a bit like you have on Microsoft Flight Simulator. So I think that would be a cool future addition for the Cessna in the future. However, I do think it is one of the leading cockpits within infinite flight. I'm moving into 3rd position. That's right, the bronze medal place for the top 5 cockpits in infinite flight. And landing in 3rd place is indeed the Boeing 737. Now, I do love the 737s in general. I think it's a very well-known aircraft, and it is also a very popular aircraft in my opinion. And I do think personally that the 737 has a lot of room for improvement. Of course, I think it'd be cool if like the landing lights or the seatbelt lights, if the buttons for them actually flipped in the overhead panel, a bit like we have on the X-Cub. But unfortunately we don't. This aircraft was reworked with a cockpit in 2020. I was very excited when that happened, of course. The cockpit itself, a live cockpit, something you need within all of the commercial aircraft, hopefully soon within infinite flight. It's a unique cockpit and it is amazing. I think the effort and time that would have gone into making the cockpit fully 3D, I think is something which has taken quite a while, and a lot of detail has been paid into getting certain bits within the 737. There's a little coat rack in the corner of the 737, which has a lot of detail paid to it as well, and I think that is, again, another great feature made by infinite flight. Now, moving on to 2nd position, the silver medal place for the top 5 cockpits within infinite flight. Now, I know I said I didn't want to include just Airbus and Boeing, but I think 2nd place deserves to go to the Boeing 777. I think it is different enough to the 737 cockpit to be considered different for my list. So I have placed it in 2nd position, which means there are a few aircraft which could make that pole position, which I'll let you all know in a little bit. So, the 777. I love its unique colour. I think that is just a general thing in 777 aircraft, but I love the unique colour and how they've gone through the effort to make it unique with an infinite flight. It's a very similar live cockpit to the 737, but it's also got a clothing rack, and I believe there are high vises in this cockpit. I might be wrong, which I think again is just that finer little bit of extra detail to the 737 cockpit. So I feel like because they also sort of reworked the 777s from scratch, I think more detail, time, and effort has definitely gone into this cockpit in specific by itself, of course. So I think that is something, of course, we can pay attention to. And so the 777, there's not too much to say about it compared to the 737. It was a close one, but I think the small details like that are why I think it's better than 737 cockpit. So second place, definitely the Boeing 777 cockpit. A wonder-class cockpit, one of the best cockpits in a flight simulator. And I do love flying in it without the HUD. It's a very fun thing to do. Now, first place. It was a tough decision, and I'm sure you guys can tell what type of aircraft it's going to be, because I haven't included them yet in my list. And I think it is a well-deserved aircraft, and I think it does deserve the pole position. And in first place, we have the Airbus A330. Now, in general, the Airbus aircraft in infinite flight are amazing. The A319, A318, A320, A321, A220, A350, all of those have live cockpits. Now, they're all very similar because of Airbus, of course, being the manufacturer of the aircraft. But I think the A330 cockpit is slightly better than most of them, because it's one of the most recently updated aircraft. So it's got better features, better graphics, better everything. So the cockpit itself, 3D, live, working features, all of them put together, I think make it better than, of course, the TBM, the Cessna, just because I'm biased towards commercial aircraft, so I think it's better than them. And I just think Airbus cockpits in general are much, much better than the traditional Boeing cockpits. Now, that's just a personal thing because they're much more modern. For a start, there's not annoying flicky buttons everywhere, there's just push-in buttons. I sort of contradicted myself there. There's no switches, unlike the Boeing cockpit, which I think the switches are cool. However, I believe buttons, which Airbus cockpits have, which are much nicer. So that's why I think they're better than the Boeing cockpits. Now, I think in general, infiniteflight have made this Airbus cockpit much nicer than the other cockpits out there. I found a really cool little Easter egg in there. The little iPhone, which was in the cockpit, I think is amazing. They've got the Apple features and everything, all the apps. They've even got the infiniteflight app on it, which of course it was going to be there. But they've just got small stuff for apps, like the App Store. I think the messages was on there. So I think that little feature there as well has pushed it up on my list, definitely towards that first place spot. So that is my top 5 list for best cockpits with an infiniteflight 2022 edition, of course. So yeah, if you did enjoy this YouTube video, please make sure you like and subscribe. Let me know if you'd like another top 5 video. I'm more than happy to make more, and if you made it this far in the video. Other than that, thank you for watching, and I will see you again in tomorrow's YouTube video. Good night.